What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows, even action figures and things like that. I love talking about those things. And today we are going to rank my top 10 favorite characters from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now, this isn't my top 10 favorite toys. This isn't my top 10 favorite characters from the Filmation series or Revelations or Revolutions or the 2002 series or the Netflix series. This is what are my top 10 favorite characters. So this encompasses all the series, the toys, the movie, even the comic books. If I were to take Masters of the Universe into one big bucket and say, okay, who are my favorite characters? These are my favorite characters. All right, so these are the top 10. Let's get started. Now, I think it's important to note that these are my favorite characters. All right, some of your favorite characters might not be in the top 10 list. I'm telling you right now, Evil Lyn doesn't show up in my top 10 favorite list. Man-at-Arms, surprisingly enough, does not show up in my top 10 favorite list. These are the characters that connected with me for whatever reason. This goes back to when I was a kid in the Filmation series, all the way up to the present, even reading through the comic books, guys. I love the DC run of Masters of the Universe comic books. Loved it so much. And so these are just my top 10. Yours is probably going to look a lot different. So let's keep that in mind. All right, so let's start with number 10. Number 10 for me, because I always liked him. I always thought he was cool and always loved the toy. And that is Buzz Off. All right. Anybody remember Buzz Off? This character was so cool, so much fun to play with. Definitely a unique design for Masters of the Universe. Kind of had the same claw as Clawful, but definitely the paint job, the eyes, the wings, all very unique. I love the character, love the way that he talked in the cartoon. Here's the Origins version right here. Yeah, I just always liked this character. I don't know why. He doesn't appear in a ton of episodes of the Filmation series, and he doesn't even appear in the comic books all that much. But I think that he just made my top 10 because I always liked the toy. So remember, this is encompassing all of MOTU, and Buzz Off is one of them. Yeah, he makes a top 10 list because of the toy, because I always liked this toy. All right, that is number 10, Buzz Off. Let's move on to number 9. All right, number 9 from me is definitely going to be Teela. Teela always played such an important role in the Masters of the Universe, and I always thought the character was really cool. This was at a time period, remember, this was at a time period when boys' toys were for boys and girls' toys were for girls, and there wasn't a lot of girl characters in the boys' toy line. That's why She-Ra came about, was because they wanted a girl version of the He-Man toy line, and they focused more on girl toys. Yeah, there was a couple boy toys in the She-Ra line, like Bo, but it was mostly girls. You look at the He-Man line, vast majority of the characters were boys. But always liked Teela. Always thought that she was a good complement to He-Man, a good complement to Prince Adam. Here she is without her armor on, right there. Yeah, just always thought she was a cool character, strong character. Like I said before, I didn't like the way she was written in Revelations. Thought it was much better in Revolutions. So like I said, with armor, without armor. And then right here, I have the Origin toy. Again, there's a bit of a glare. I'm sorry about that. But looks very much in line with the original toy. Yeah. All right, so Teela is my number 9. All right, let's go with our number 8. All right, my number 8, Masters of the Universe favorite character. It's another female character, and it would be the Sorceress. This character always fascinated me. Someone who lives in Castle Grayskull, someone who has a ton of power, someone who is kind of not really He-Man's boss, but his confidant, someone who imbues him with that power, and someone who mentors him. Yeah, definitely a character that I always loved and always thought was really cool. I don't have an original version of the Sorceress. Never got it when I was a kid, and I haven't found it at a price that I'm willing to pay as an adult. But I do have the Origins character here, which is, I love the Origins packaging, by the way. Just so reminiscent of the original packaging. And then right here we have the Netflix version of the Sorceress. Obviously a very different look, but there was a whole lot about the MOTU Netflix series that was very different. And like I've said before, I was always very okay with that because they never pretended it was going to be anything other than very different. What I do have the original version of though, is the Sorceress' little birdie. Forget the name. Is it Screech, maybe? No, Screech is the bad guy version of this, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Maybe I'm not a real MOTU fan now because I forget the name of the Sorcerer's birdie. But yeah, the Sorceress is my number 8. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7, you know him. I'm sure you know him. And it is Ram Man. This toy was the most unarticulate toy, I think, in the entire MOTU line. The arms move out like this, and that's about as far as the arms will move. There's no head movement, not really any leg movement. The legs go down like this, and then you hit the button back here, and he was supposed to jump, but he didn't really retain his jumping power through the years. But really cool character. It was a character that I loved as a kid. For some reason, I just loved this toy as a kid, even though it never really worked the way it should have. But whenever Ram Man showed up in the cartoons, I always got a blast out of it. I loved the way he talked, loved the way that he bounced around, loved his power. Obviously, as a kid, you're really into strength, and Ram Man had a lot of that. And, he showed up in some later series, and just love seeing him show up whenever he does show up in MOTU. So Ram Man is number 7. All right, let's move on to number 6, shall we? All right, number 6 was primarily a She-Ra character, but I love his design. I love his character, who he is, where he falls into the mythology of Masters of the Universe, and that is Hordak. Hordak was so cool, so scary, and just the idea of having this villain here that was higher than Skeletor on the hierarchy of evil totem pole, it just was really, really fun as a kid to really get invested in that character. Hordak was the reason why I gave She-Ra a chance, because I thought he was such a cool character. And I love the toy. I love the look of the toy. He's kind of, I don't know, kind of got a skeleton thing going on also, an alien skeleton of some sort. But I love Hordak. And you know what is really cool about Hordak? Is that when they made the Netflix series, he has a really cool look. I'm sorry for the glare, guys. He has a really cool look in the Netflix series, too. I can't get it much closer. My phone is glaring on the packaging. Just a really cool look on the Netflix series as well. Hordak from Savage Eternia. So Hordak, really cool character, appeared a lot of times, appeared mostly in She-Ra, but has appeared several times in other iterations of Masters of the Universe. And I love this character. And yeah, that's number 6. All right, number 5. Okay, so I didn't put any vehicles on this list because they're not characters, right? Maybe a little bit of a cheat here because I am going to put this one on the list, but it's not a vehicle. This is a character with speaking lines. And the nice thing is that I am going to do a vehicle list later. And this character might qualify under the vehicle list also, but Battle Cat / Cringer is my number 5 character in Masters of the Universe. Just one of my favorite characters as a kid. The idea of this weak, scared animal turning into a monster of destruction, a warrior. probably appealed to most kids, right? Most kids, they live with some sort of anxiety, some sort of fear, but they want to be strong and they want to be powerful. And that's what Battle Cat Cringer was. He got the power of Grayskull, and he became this fearless warrior, this companion to He-Man, and just love the character. Here is Battle Cat without his armor. Looks cool even without the armor, right? Just such a cool character, cool design. Whoever it was that decided I'm gonna make that they're gonna design Cringer to not look like a real tiger but make him green. Inspired idea, and just really cool design and really cool character. And even though it's a cat, it's a relatable character. Here's the Origins version. What I love about these Origin toys, Origin is my favorite line of MOTU since the original. And what I love about the Origin toys is just the boxing and the design, so much like the original. So, yeah, Cringer / Battle Cat is my number 5 character in Masters of the Universe. Let's move on to number 4. All right, number 4, love this character so much, and I'm one of the people who really liked his arc. Even though I didn't like Revelations, I liked his arc in Revelations a lot. But there has never been an iteration of Masters of the Universe where I haven't loved this character, and that is Orko. Orko is such a fun character, such a fun design. The toy, again, like Ram Man, there wasn't much articulation in this toy. Arms move up and down a little bit. The hat can come off if you really want to go through the trouble of taking it off and putting it on. But what was cool about this character was the bottom has the little top on it, and you pull it out, and Orko will move by himself on the table. So that was a cool design. That made Orko a lot of fun to play with. And it gave him that illusion of flying when he was running around on the table or the floor or wherever it was that you put him. But just a fun character. Like I said, had a great arc in Revelations. They kind of did him dirty in the comics. In the DC Comics versus Masters of the Universe, they made him the villain, which, like I said, kind of did him dirty in the comics. And for the most part, I love the comics. I didn't like that. But Orko is a cool character. And I don't have a packaged version of Orko. I can't believe I don't have an Origins version of Orko lying around here. I do have a mini version here. But love this character and just love the whimsy of Orko. He's kind of, watching Masters of the Universe as a kid, he's kind of the child perspective, right? You're seeing things the same way that Orko's seeing things. He's kind of the narrator for the kid who's watching. So Orko, really cool. Love the character. He is number 4. All right, top three. My third favorite character is one that I don't have an original toy for. But my third favorite character didn't become... This character would not have made my top 10 list until the comics. Honestly, this character would not have even come close to my top 10 list until the comics. But in the comics, this character had such a great arc, such a great storyline, such great character development that I saw this character in a completely different way. And this character, it looks like they're going to go down that road in the next chapter of Revolution. And that is She-Ra. When the original series came out, I wasn't into She-Ra really because it was the girls' version, right? I didn't want to watch it because it was the girls' version, and that's what my sister was into. And my sister had a She-Ra toy, and she had the Crystal Castle, and she had all that stuff. And I don't know if she still has it or not. I need to find out. But she had all those toys, and she watched it. So I wasn't into it because that was my sister's thing. That was for girls. And I kind of had that attitude all the way into adulthood. And then even when I kind of rediscovered MOTU as an adult and started really collecting again, She-Ra really wasn't my thing until I read that comic storyline. And like I said, I saw this character in a completely different light. The Despera storyline, um, Hordak's #1 lieutenant, and then she gets caught up in the rebellion and realizes maybe she's fighting for the wrong side. Just such a great storyline. She-Ra is a cool character when you look at her through those lenses. And since then, I have revisited her original series, Princess of Power, and it holds up just about as good as the He-Man Filmation series. There's good stuff to be had in that series. Didn't like the Netflix version at all. I hate watched about the first half of the first season, and then I just nope, can't do it. She-Ra is a cool character, though. If you haven't read the DC Comics, man, you got to get out there and read the DC Comics. Such a great storyline. I have a little She-Ra Funko Pop here. I have a lot of MOTU Funko Pops. I think this is the only one I'm going to share with you guys. I just don't have a lot of She-Ra stuff to share here. But my third favorite character, and that, like I said, is based on the comic books. Let's move on to number 2, shall we? All right, my number 2 favorite character in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is Skeletor. Skeletor is one of the ultimate cool villains in fandom. The antithesis of everything that He-Man is, but also has a fascinating storyline, a great origin story. There's times when the storyline forces him to align with the forces of good. Usually that's not happening. Sometimes he goes against Hordak, which is always a lot of fun. Skeletor definitely has his own agenda, and it's all about him. And I chose this version. This is the battle damage version of Skeletor. Remember the battle damage version of these toys? They had these in Hot Wheels too, where you hit them. I chose this one because I have the Origins version. It's a fun side-by-side comparison. Original and Origins. But Skeletor was just really cool. Here is the Origins original design Skeletor. Just a really cool character. And like I said, one of the things I love about this character is the origin story. The origin story of Keldor. And, Keldor becoming Skeletor. I just found that fascinating in whatever version of it you're getting the origin story in, whether it's the comics, whether it's one of the TV series. Keldor is this corrupt character that just works for me, and he gives so much background when you watch the origin story and learn about Keldor and learn how Skeletor became Skeletor. It's just a fascinating storyline that gives a lot of depth to the character. And we've obviously had a lot of different versions of Skeletor. Here is the Skelegod. Oh, man, I hate this glare. The Skelegod from Revelations. And then we have the Netflix version, which they did a pretty good job of staying pretty close to the design of Skeletor. But, nothing beats the original toys. I have the original Skeletor around here somewhere. I couldn't find him for this video. He's over there somewhere. But the battle damage one is cool, and I love the character. So Skeletor is number 2. So, I wonder who number 1 is going to be. But number 1, of course, is He-Man. Here we have, I think this is Thunder Punch He-Man, right? You twist him like this. I have a lot of different versions of He-Man. I'm going to share some of them with you here. But Thunder Punch He-Man was always my favorite. I loved the costume, I guess. Always liked this one as a kid. It was different than his normal costume. But He-Man is just such a great character. He's kind of Superman in a way. But like Cringer and Battle Cat, he can be weak, then he can be strong. And I think that's something that kids really identify with. I think that's why a lot of kids identify with Superman. Clark Kent is weak, but Superman is strong. So He-Man, here's the Origins version of He-Man right there. The hair on the Origins version definitely is a little different than the original design. But yeah, Origins version of He-Man. We have the Netflix version here, which definitely changed up the costume quite a bit. I guess they didn't want to go with the super revealing look in the Netflix toys. They didn't want to show off his pecs. And then we have the Revelation version. Man, I hate that glare so much. And the 40th anniversary version. The 40th anniversary version, I really love it. When it first came out, I was like, I gotta get it. Might actually be worth something. It's not gonna be worth anything. There's about 1 million of them out there. But it's still really cool to have. It's a great piece to any MOTU collection. And like I said, the Revolution toy is also pretty cool, even though I didn't like that series. But this is one of my favorites, actually. The design of this one, I just love it. Here we have the Dolph Lundgren version of He-Man. So cool. So this is from the movie. And what I like about this is it actually comes with a head that's more like the cartoon. But no, we have the Dolph Lundgren head on there. Just a cool toy. When I saw it, I had to pick it up because I am a fan of the movie. You know, I think the movie has earned its place in He-Man mythology, in He-Man fandom. Definitely think it's earned its place, and was really, really happy to be able to pick up this toy. I'm not going to show you all my He-Man toys because He-Man's probably the character I have the most versions of. He's probably the character that there is most versions made of. But He-Man is my favorite. He's the reason that I got into MOTU in the first place. So, guys, let me know, who's your favorite MOTU characters? You know, you don't have to give me your top 10, top 3, top 5, whatever. Just let me know your favorite MOTU characters. I'd definitely be interested. Does Evil Lyn make the list? Does Man-at-Arms make the list? Does Stratos make the list? Stratos just missed my list. You know, I think Stratos would be my number 11. So, you know, maybe Manny Faces, maybe Trapjaw, maybe, I don't know. There's so many. Just let me know who your favorite characters are. I would love to have a conversation about this. Obviously, I'm a big fan of MOTU, and I love talking about it. So let me know who your favorite characters are, and you know, thank you for joining me here, guys. I love talking about Masters of the Universe, among other things. And, you know, I'd really love it if you guys would subscribe to my channel. Help me grow. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to up my subscribers. You know, even though I'm a little baby channel, you know, who's interested in hearing the voice of a middle-aged bald guy? I don't know. But if you are, go ahead and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining me here on this long video. If you stuck this out, you love MOTU just as much as I do. So kudos to you. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you later.